Welcome to the Paths We Take podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DeSange. Let's hit a path. Hey there, and welcome to the Paths We Take. Today I'm joined by Charlotte, a coach at Platfrm and a dietitian student. And today is an honest conversation about growth, change, and figuring out things as you go. We dive into what it actually looks like to go through different phases in life and how it's okay to shift your path when you realize something is no longer aligning with who you are or where you want to go in life. We talk about pushing through friction, building discipline, and why having a clear plan, especially in your training and fitness, can be the difference between staying stuck and actually progressing. Charlotte also shares her perspectives on consistency, how to show up even when motivation isn't quite there, and how to create structure that supports both your goals and your lifestyle. Without further ado, let's get into today's path. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for coming on the show and spending the time with us today. But Charlotte, do you mind if the person listening right now had an autobiography of you out in front of them? And I know this is always ever evolving, so I'm sure this question or the answer would change, a year from now even. But what are some things that they would find that you think are that you would say are interesting about yourself?
Mm. An autobiography.
Yeah.
I would say, I'm 20 years old, so I'm a third year nutrition and dietetics student. I would say it's the idea that you can forge your own path at any point. And I'm lucky enough to have found a path that I'm really enjoying and I can head down. But it's the idea that you don't have to stick with something just because you decided that that was what you wanted last year or even 6 months ago. I think for me, I'm constantly reevaluating what path I'm heading towards and whether that is fulfilling for me. And I really do think of almost every day or every week being the thing that's going to ultimately compound to be your 5-year plan. So I don't necessarily just think about, okay, where am I going to be in 5 years, but what actions am I taking to be where I want to be? Like, where is this going to get me? So I think that's, for me, I'm very much look at where I'm at in life and just assess how that's making me feel.
I think that's a very interesting. Those are some very interesting points that you made because at that age, and I feel like it's changing now, like there is less pressure sometimes to have a decision by, the end of high school or the end of uni or something. Like I remember back when I was starting uni, like there was always that pressure in a sense. You had to know what you wanted to do. You had to kind of stick with that path and like go from there, really. Like there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity to figure out, like you kind of had to figure out overnight what you wanted to do and then stick with it, really. Because if you didn't, then it would be considered failure, or the generations before kind of did that, so it was a bit different to not stick with something. Whereas I find now a lot of people, not even in their 20s, but like, I'm now 31, or like people later 20s, early 30s, early 20s are deciding that no, actually, I don't like the path that I'm on and it's okay to change it, which I think is like so important for people to realize. Um, where did it start for you? So you're saying that you think you've figured out where your journey is headed. Where did it start for you? And did that path change at all over the last couple of years? What does this look like?
I think there are a few things that were the catalyst for the changing or redirecting where I want to go. Even last year, I was in a relationship from 16 to 20, and those are formative years of your life. Like 15 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, like you fundamentally change as a person, and that's okay. And I think for me, it's sort of assessing, especially like I'm pretty lucky to grow up that I've had nothing really, like I've been able to look at where I'm at and I can see how it served me but how it might not serve me any longer. So there's been a discomfort of there's nothing really wrong with this, but it's also there might be something more. And I think that's like assessing towards the end of that relationship, like the last year. It's like, this is stable, but I don't know if it's for me necessarily. And that was a huge thing to navigate. Even just leaving my former job to come to Platfrm, which we'll talk about later, but I was there. I've always had stability in my life, and I think it's jeopardizing that stability for the chance of, okay, there might be something greater or something that's more fulfilling at the risk of, okay, well, I'm not going to have this thing or this safety net anymore. So I think those are the main moments in my life that, yeah, have I don't know, forced me to think about, if I continue to stay here, is it really where I want to be in the next 5 years? Because of that is an option of it's not going anywhere. So
But it's sometimes more comfortable to stay in the stable, right? I think we've talked about this in the past on the show as well. And I think that's a very, like, the longer you're in something, I think the harder it is to remove yourself from that stable. Because I can totally imagine. I mean, we have people of all ages listening to the show, and I can imagine that, if you're in, let's say, a job, or if you're in a relationship, and like you're saying, you're going through the next stage, you maybe turning 25 or turning into your 30s or whatnot. Like, it's so much easier to stay in that comfort, really, because it's scary to come out of that unstable, and it's scary to start something fresh. And I think you also have to be able to reflect, and you have to dig deep and realize that that's not what I want. It sounds like you did some reflection to kind of come to this decision. What did that look like for you?
it's so I can take like the job versus relationship was very different. So um Platfrm itself, I had been considering for a few years before I met James when I was 14. Through connections. So my mum is the graphic designer for Jodie Lee Foundation, which is a foundation that raises awareness for bowel cancer prevention. James is an ambassador for that foundation. So I was walking the trek each year. And then this year I walked the one day and James had run the whole thing. And my mum's like, you have to meet this guy. And my brother's like, you have to meet this guy. So I met him and he had just finished running 75 kilometers. And my mum's like, come meet my daughter. And he's like, oh, give me a
Okay.
second. But that, I think I would have been 15 there, maybe. And that had always been at the back of my mind. Okay, Platfrm's something I want to look into. It hadn't been opened yet, but it was, okay, I'm opening this place. And I was saying I wanted to do my Cert 3, Cert 4. So I was probably, it was funny. I just finished like a 3-hour chem exam, right? So
Okay.
semester 1 of uni, I had a whirlwind of a first semester, and I'd seen reels of Platfrm, and I finished that. It was the last thing I had to do for the semester. I had a couple weeks off. I'm like, I'm going to reach out to James. I'm just going to do it. And I had tried twice before. I hadn't followed through. And there's a bit of friction, and I wanted to talk about that today. Like, friction to do something often for me is a sign that I'm heading down the right path. Where I'm like, I want to do this thing, but it feels really like uncomfortable. It's like, oh, it doesn't feel right. So I'm like, okay, well, I've got to go do it now. So that's my green flag. But I met up with James, and that happened very fast. So from once I'd met up with James and I had started working on Pantry, which is like our cafe at Platfrm Mile End, it was James saying, hey, come teach with me on Wednesday night. And then, hey, we're getting you on the schedule. You're going to have to resign from your other job. That was it. Yeah. So 2 years, like I was 2 years at my old place. And then that was how quickly that turned around. With my relationship, it was a year of, oh, I don't know. And that came from just conversations with people I trusted, mainly my mum, then my friend. But it was a lot of thinking at first, and then at first, like vocalizing it. That was a big thing. I think once you start talking about what's going on in here, then momentum starts to take. But it's interesting because there is almost this, I don't know if it's like pressure from society to be like, once you know, like do something straight away. I don't necessarily believe in that because that year of how do I feel? How can I have difficult conversations I've never had before? How can I sit in this feeling whilst taking steps forward? That I needed that year of like, I'm out of this, but I really care for this person because this isn't something that's gone bad. It's just something that's not for me anymore. So learning how to navigate that in a way that's respectful to both of us, in a way that I can almost learn from it, definitely like not put off hard conversations. I took a lot out of that. So it's almost two different, one that happened very rapidly. The other one was a very long process that, yeah, slowly fizzled out, I would say.
I love that what you brought up, like, society pressures, because I think sometimes there is that pressure of the norm, like the norm to stay or the norm to um, figure something else, or when you have that decision to stick with that decision, like I think there is this pressure sometimes, and it's very easy for us to stick with what the path that we're going on basically. Did you find any pressures throughout these experiences of going through change, or
Mm,
how did you kind of get over pressure, would you
mm.
say?
I would I would say a big thing, I like talking to people I'm close with, but not talking to too many people because
Everybody has a different opinion.
yeah, that's it. Like
Mm,
it's already hard enough to make a decision.
yeah.
If I tell 10 different people, that's 10 different opinions. And the only one that really matters is mine. So I trust my mom. I know that my mom knows me. And I trust close friends, but even some close friends want to like, this isn't for me. They're like, get rid of it. Just get out of it. I'm like, oh, it's not that simple. It's it's not that simple as okay, yeah, I'm just gonna leave this. There was a lot to think about. So I think it's being selective with who you talk to and who you hold close to, and who has your best interests at heart.
Yeah, no, that's very important, I think, because again, like too, I think we have, yes, some good relationships and good friendships, but sometimes too, friends don't tell you the hard things, right?
Mm,
Like I'm sure your mom would feel confident telling you the hard truth
mm,
sometimes. And yes, we all have good friends that would, but I think a lot of our social groups are the, like you were saying, oh, just get rid of it or just do this, or
mm,
like, the yes man. And like you were saying, I think a lot of times in life, no matter what age you are, there's a lot to consider behind the scenes. And you do want to make, you don't want to be impulsive 24/7, but I think it's this fine line
mm,
between being impulsive and then making an informed decision, really. Like it's just, I don't know. I can't really give advice on how to do that, but I think sometimes we have to find the in between, really.
yeah.
You brought up something very interesting, friction. I love that word.
Mm,
Um, what does that look like? What does that mean? And how do you get out of friction?
mm. Yeah, no, I love friction. To me is like every day you wake up and you make decisions, right? You're autonomous over how your day goes most of the time. If I wake up at 4 in the morning and I don't want to go to work out, I don't want to get out of bed, that's friction. If I'm sitting down at home and I'm tired and I don't want to study, that's friction. If there's something between me and what I want to do or what I need to do to get to where I want to be, but it feels really hard to do that or uncomfortable within my body, that's a sign for me that I need to it actually take it a step further, peel back the onion. It taking actions that don't align with who you believe yourself to be creates friction. So if you're trying to shift who you are or who you want to be, you have to take actions that don't align with who you've been. That's the only way, like the only way you can fundamentally change yourself as a person, I believe, is actions. Because actions create confidence in who you are. So every time you don't do the thing, you avoid the friction, you're reinforcing who you are, even if it's who you don't want to be anymore. So I think it's being able, like, I've always been fascinated in neuroplasticity and just who you are as a person and how you can shift who you are. Like, very much that you are autonomous over yourself and you have control over your life. I think I got that from my mum. Um, it, yeah, I think it's for me just looking at the things that I find hard or the things you want to make excuses for, and sort of just taking a dive into that and acknowledging how that feels, but not letting that determine what I do. And it is for things as like as simple as working out or studying or um going into play like uni or something. It's yeah.
And it's very like, I think you brought up a good example prior as well. Like, we do change even in 12 months time. I think our version of ourselves has changed slightly.
Mm,
Um and yeah, I love what you discussed there, because I think too sometimes it's hard to fight that friction
mm,
because we've if we're in a certain stage, let's say today, and we have a lot of friction, we see ourselves in a different position in whatever it might be, 5 years from now, a year from now, and we're kind of on not the incorrect path, but we're doing things that are preventing us from getting from that
mm,
stage. It is hard to, I think, get out of that a
mm,
bit and figure out how to, because sometimes too we're in maybe a social circle that has some friction, or maybe it's difficult because when you're going through that change, you're changing your habits, you're changing your life. And I think it's hard for everybody to be on board, because
mm,
it is like something too where, not that it's a burden, but sometimes too, like if you are going through a change in life and maybe you're in a relationship, or maybe you're not, maybe you are single, but you have a close group of friends or whatnot, like it's hard to, because you don't want to bring everybody with you. Maybe you do, but not everybody wants to come with you,
mm,
is what I'm trying to, I guess, get at. And it's it's difficult because, like, I think like I've seen so many or listened to a lot of podcasts that, discuss, oh, well, like, you're going to have people fall out of your life or this and that. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think like you can still make things work, and you can
mm,
still have good relationships with people. And I think it's just finding a balance of how to make it work, and that's a
mm,
bit of a skill as well. Like,
mm,
I think, yes, if you naturally are going through some friction, and you're distancing yourself from things that you've once done, or maybe things that, or maybe people or whatnot. Like, I don't know that you need to be so cookie cutter and like cut people out. Like,
mm,
I see on Instagram all the time, or TikTok, or whatever it might be. I think like you can make things work, but just realize that, yeah, you might not have the same relationship that you once had. So yeah, I find friction, like, that's why I wanted you to bring that up, because it's so interesting, because I think it's something that we all go through.
yeah.
Some of us can push past it, but then I
Mm,
think too, like, sometimes it's comfortable for to just stay in
mm,
that friction. And
yeah.
I don't want to judge, because I think like everybody has their reason, and that's
Mm,
totally fine. Um, all right, team. Quick shout out to today's sponsor, because they've genuinely been a game changer for me personally, and that is U Foods. So here's the thing, no matter what your goals are, fat loss, muscle building, training for something big, or honestly just trying to survive a busy week, U Foods has meals that actually taste amazing. And I'm not talking about those sad frozen meals that taste like fake ingredients and disappoint you every single time. These meals taste fresh, they taste real, and they don't feel like you're on a meal plan at all. I literally look forward to them. But the real reason that I'm obsessed personally is time. My time is everything, and saving literally 3 to 5 hours a week from grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning the kitchen, that honestly is priceless to me. Those hours go back into my training, they go back into this podcast, into the other podcasts that I produce, and just my sanity as well. So, if you've been thinking about giving pre made meals a go, or you just want to make your life so much easier, Use my link in the show notes and you'll get a free box of meals to try out. Seriously, try it. If you're anything like me, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. All right, I want to talk to you about sunglasses made for runners by runners. That's why I wear Your Run sunglasses. Lightweight, zero bounce, and they stay locked in even when you are sweating through speed sessions, long runs, out in the sun, whatever it might be. They are stylish enough for daily wear, durable enough for race day, and just the perfect combo. Honestly, I love brands that get the sport, get the grind, and support the running community, not just the podium finishers. If you're serious about your run gear and want shades that perform as hard as you, go check out Your Run. Use my code Jordan10 to save some money and get yourself some stylish sunnies that actually perform and look good. Run smart, stay protected, look good doing it with Your Run sunnies. When it comes to this journey of starting at Platfrm and everything seemed to happen pretty quickly, I think that's like a good thing for things to naturally evolve. Were you on a different path before all of this started, or like did this change anything? You were saying that you were going into your Cert 3 and 4. What do you think your path was prior to the start at Platfrm?
Mm. So I think even from year 12,
Mhm.
like leading up to year 12, I didn't think I was going to uni. It was
Okay.
pretty much a complete write off. Nah,
Mhm.
I'm not going to uni.
Yeah.
Um, and then in year 12, I had my nutrition teacher.
Mhm.
He was new that year.
Yeah.
His name was Matthew Morby. He was awesome.
Mhm.
He was a dietitian.
Okay.
So that's where I was like, this is really cool. And 6 months into year 12, I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply for dietetics.
Yeah.
I managed to get offered into the course, which I'm really happy for. For Platfrm, the path, it was always going to be in the fitness industry. In year 11, I did my Cert 3. I was lucky enough to do that through school. So very cheap, very inexpensive. And then from that placement I did, I got offered a job. So straight off the bat, was there working as a group fitness instructor. I found that I was stagnant after a couple of years in what I was teaching. Like group fitness instructing can be a very passive job. It can be so a lot of places will have screens, which is fine. But as a trainer, you read off of the screen and that's the workout. There is a Platfrm, there is no screen. And in fact, you plan every single class you do. And beyond that, you plan it based on the clients in the room. So I was attracted to this idea that like being able to be more involved in what you're teaching and understand the why. Like I could just see that there was a whole nother world. Like my vision was like this and there was all of this that I just couldn't see yet. So once I don't know, and it's weird. I find that I was teaching once or twice a week and now I teach upwards of 22 classes a week. Yeah. Teaching once or twice, I felt way more tired. It felt way more arduous than teaching 22. And it's interesting how when things move slowly, it almost makes everything feel slow. Whereas when it's a bit more fast paced, you're learning things, you're actively involved, it feels easier to navigate everything. I'm sure that just comes with my capacity to like do things and manage higher workloads. But I was always going to head down. Like I initially was like, I'm going to be a PT. I did not think that I would get this much out of a group fitness instructing job, where it's like personal training in a group fitness environment. I never like running was something I had been introduced to, like within itself. I did a bit of running and CrossFit, but like a kilometer. Like I ran a half marathon last year. I think actually beyond just the path I'm on career-wise, personally, complete shift.
Okay. Yeah.
Complete shift.
Yeah. How's that shifted?
When I started off in the fitness industry in a CrossFit environment which is very community focused, which I loved. That's how I fell in love with fitness. I was at a place called Forge, and then it was CrossFit Beach Mode, then Forge, then it shut down in COVID time, which was really hard because I wanted to see those people every day. And then I tried to find other places after that, but I just couldn't find anything that felt the same, that made me want to go there every single day, until I found Platfrm. And I think for me that ignited something where it's like, oh, I want to see these people all the time. I want to be here. And it becomes like when I was working at Peak 24, I was focusing mainly on just like the 24/7. I wouldn't do the classes. I would just teach them. And then I would just do like a workout using the machines there. And I wasn't very educated on training to failure, what that genuinely looks like, intensity. I can't believe I was doing upper lower splits now that I do full body workouts all the time. So I think it's the shift in how I approach training, and just that being reconnected to community made me fall in love with fitness again, beyond just I want to look a certain way. Like I want to do these really cool things. And like the idea of Platfrm, which I love, is that you should always be at a level where if you want to achieve a half marathon, it's within reach. It's not this huge, scary thing that's like, I could never do that. It's like, no, we can actually get you there.
You touched on a lot of things. That's exciting. I want to unpack that all. I found something you mentioned interesting, like, because I 10 years ago started at CrossFit as well. And I think too, like, for me, that was my first time being introduced into the fitness space, was kind of that group style fitness. And quite similarly, like I did CrossFit for, oh, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years. But when I stopped CrossFit, I also, like, I'm a long distance runner, and I now do triathlon. I was doing that behind the scenes as well. And those are very individual. Like you can be part of a group and whatnot, which I am now, but like it is a very individual thing. So that in comparison to something like CrossFit and community was vastly different. And I think I came to appreciate that community a lot more, because just like you, like that was probably all of my social circle around that time. I loved going on like comp trips, and I loved like just being at the gym and going out for coffee with the group and everything. But I think when that stopped and going from then something a bit more individual, I think it's just a very funny feeling, like going through these changes and then experiencing fitness in a whole different way, really. And I think like group is quite interesting. Like a group style training is quite interesting because it can be motivating. It can be, again, it can bring people together and want to move. Um, but I do understand that some people feel that they get more out of going to, let's say, a normal gym and pushing themselves, right? What's your opinions on that, and how do you feel? Why do you think you gravitate towards the group style a bit more?
I think there's a few different elements. There's accountability. Like you make friends there. We're going to go, let's say 8 a.m. on Saturdays. Oh, you weren't there. Where were you? So there's that accountability element of you meet people. There's that connection. I believe humans are such social beings. So that brings an element of joy into fitness. Also, I think it just depends on the structure of the class. Like it depends on, is the place, other classes running, if there's strength, are they running on a program? And how effective is that program? Are coaches actively coaching people, or are they cheerleaders? Because there's a difference between good job and,
Coaching,
yeah,
yeah.
coaching. There's a big difference. I realized that. I was a cheerleader at my old job, and now I'm a coach. I also, like, when I started at Platfrm, like in CrossFit, it's very much also how much can I do in X amount of time. It's about speed. It's not necessarily about, the powerlifting family or getting good at your bench, your squat, and your deadlift. It's about everything, like fitness as a collective. Um, I think I think people that train by themselves find it hard to navigate commercial gyms unless they've worked with a PT or had maybe some group fitness. Like a lot of people will come in, and also when they're being given the tours, it's like machines. I remember saying this at my old gym: start with machines because they're easiest. I only work with barbells and dumbbells now, beside the reformer. And it's like people will come in, clients will come to me, and they're like, I've been working out for 3 years and I've seen no results. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Bicep curls, lateral raises, like these single joint exercises instead of like a bench press, which requires, it makes you stronger as a whole. I think it's the approach of like for Platfrm itself, for strength classes, the first half is a compound lift. And that's where you make an investment on the lift and you get a lot of return. It's like deadlifts, full body compounds, squats, bench, and then you can choose what you want to do. I think group fitness has to be flexible so that the people coming in are able to, I guess, almost have autonomy over their journey as well. Because if you come in, it's like, okay, I only have one class type available. I have to do cardio today, even though I want to do strength training. But I can't make Wednesday because I have the kids. I don't know. So, like, for us, I think where it's done differently is there's multiple different class types. And, like, if you have a strength class, you can come in and you can do a bench squat or a deadlift, regardless of what day it is. There's no upper lower splits. I think group fitness is done right when there's also autonomy from the clients.
Yeah, and I think too, like you hit something key, like having a program and having structure as well. Because I've been to my, let's say, going back to my like CrossFit journey, I trained at a couple of different gyms. This was back in Canada, and I ended up like the last gym that I was at, the last CrossFit box that I was at, I needed to travel like 30 minutes just to get there. But I think one of the main reasons why I chose that gym was because A, they were a lot more structured, like they had training blocks and you could actually see, or not see, but like you were actually informed of the decisions and like what you would get out of the training block, opposed to just going and just having like a random CrossFit workout on the screen and, not really seeing like that progress every week. Because I think that's what keeps people coming back. But also, everybody has a different goal. Like some people, yes, I can understand, just want to go to the gym, be told what to do, and like get moving, through the day. But others, I think, have a goal. They want to maybe get stronger or they want to see results or whatnot. And if you don't have a structure, including in group fitness, then I think that is a huge barrier. And I think like that's separating you from a lot of the better gyms that do have that structure. And people like me will travel to a gym just to get that, I think too, like as a physio, it's like injury prevention and like all of that comes along with having structure and having, good fundamentals when you are in group fitness. I do also think that it can be daunting to go to like a normal gym, especially if you don't know what to do really. Have you had that experience with clients, or like what have people told you about going to a normal gym versus going to a group fitness class?
I think motivation's a big thing of how actually motivated they are to train hard. And also, I can speak for myself, just this being completely naive to like what training hard is, what training close to failure is. I thought I was training close to failure when I was working out by myself, but I wasn't. And I think people that come to group fitness classes, you have people that come around you and they're like, if you're doing a 1 rep max test, the energy is just insane. And it's like, okay, maybe I will go a bit heavier. Maybe I will try again, and maybe I will try again. Um, so I think that's like a big difference, and also being told what to do. So like our strength program works in 8-week blocks. It's the same every time. Now we might train at like the runner weights team, or just even the Platfrm team as a collective, will evaluate how it's run and then make adjustments as we need. And I'm someone that actively participates in it as well. So I'll say like, hey, this could be changed or this could be changed. And it's always a collaboration, which I love. And also from clients, hey, what did you think of this strength block? Do you think there needs to be any changes? Like we're constantly taking on board feedback to improve and help clients get the most out of their time. I think that structure of, like for me personally, when clients come into a class, um, I'll check in with them individually and be like, okay, we're doing 4 sets of 5 reps, 85%. What did you do last week? Okay, we did that last week. You'll probably warm up with this weight. You'll probably work with this weight. Or you've never been in before. Okay, we're going to start with this and just getting them straight into the habit of the strength block. Or like for running classes, we work towards a benchmark week, which is 22-minute, like how far can you get in 22 minutes? And then it's progressive overload. Okay, we're going to increase our base run pace. It's all about, people feel confused because they don't have a measurable. It's like when you're doing back squats, you go into a gym, it's like, okay, do 3 sets of 12 reps. What is 12 reps? How much weight to use for 12? Like how much weight are you meant to use? And it's this 6 months of, oh, I guess I'm going to try 40 kilos. Yep, it's 12. And then, maybe I'll try 45. I'm going to go back to 40. There's no momentum because you don't know where to start. And that's where like 1 rep max testing, which we do twice in the strength block, like once, but you have the option of 2. That's the measurable. Like I can lift 80 kilos for 1 rep. Great. I need to work with 80% of that. It teaches clients how to work with intensity, but also how to measure it. So I think that's a big difference of there's no guesswork. And having the guesswork taken out, it creates motivation around, okay, I'm going to come in because I know that this works. Like me personally, I came to Platfrm and I couldn't even bench 30 kilos. I can bench 80 kilos now in 18 months. I came in I was squatting 40 kilos at my old gym. I had done 85 when I was 15. That was with a strength program that worked really well. But now my 1 rep max is 127.5. And then my deadlift went from like 110 to 142.5 recently. I'm literally living proof that it works.
Yeah. Yeah. That consistency and a program, a vision, really.
Yeah.
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 When it comes to motivation, so, I'm sure you have clients potentially that come up and, speak to about, oh, it's hard to get to the gym, or it's hard to stay motivated, or it's hard, like life gets in the way. And I can understand that it is hard sometimes, but how can people stay consistent, do you think?
I think I think that's where like leaning on your community and talking to people, I feel like when clients say to me that they haven't been consistent, I think it almost comes with a bit of shame around like, I feel a bit nervous being in here because I haven't been here like I said I would be. And talking about it helps to alleviate that shame. Where it's like, actually, a lot of people, I've had this conversation with 10 other clients this morning. So I appreciate when people talk to me because, like, I struggle at times. I think everyone does.
We
like,
all
it's,
do.
yeah. Yeah. And also, like, consistency. I think consistency feels inconsistent because if you zoom out on the big picture, overall, as long as you're still coming, like, there will be periods of time where it feels like you're not doing anything, as long as you get back on that same track. Well, that's where talking to people, like even through uni, when I've felt like, I don't know what I'm doing, or, oh my God, I feel like everyone knows what they're doing and I don't, these feelings, and it's almost a spiral. Yet you talk to someone or you go into uni and everyone's in the same boat. I think that helps with motivation because it takes away from, oh, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with me. This is just a human experience. And then it almost, again, brings in that accountability. I think community is really important for accountability and like people reaching out. Hey, you haven't been in a while. Are you okay? And it doesn't always have to be fitness related. It's like, let's go get a coffee. Let's catch up. I think talking, again, to trusted people, but having people to lean on is something that helps with motivation. We don't always just have to internalize things and go into this David Goggins mindset of like, get up and grind. It's like actually just call a friend and go for a walk if you need to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's like easier said than done, get up and grind it, right? Like, I think that's a bit ridiculous because we all have something that, potentially is more important at some points of our life. But, an example that you brought up, like, somebody coming to you and saying that, oh, well, I'm embarrassed to be back here because like I wasn't for a week. Like I think that person took the hardest step and they are back there,
Mm,
like that's the
yeah.
hardest thing. And the fact that they're there, I think should be an achievement in its own
Mm,
because a lot of people, it's hard to get back into that habit when
mm,
you've, been into something and then your new habit is, maybe not going. It's hard to get back into it and getting back into that routine is the first step really.
yeah. And it's also going back to friction. That's friction. So that client taking a step back into the gym is friction. But even going beyond that, there could be friction around, oh, I need to choose a workout outfit, and that's hard. Oh, I need to get up at this time, that's hard. And that's where reducing friction wherever you can. Like for me, if I'm struggling, things feel hard, everything feels like arduous. I will spend maybe like an hour or however long I need to set myself up for whatever I need to do next. Like, I'm going to work. Okay, my work clothes are set out, ready to go. I don't have breakfast ready. I'm just going to do that now. I'm just going to do things. I'm going to start organizing my head, and then I'm going to start organizing my space. And even if I'm not achieving anything right now in this moment, when I'm ready, I like things are easier. I'm reducing the friction of it. Like if you're waking up in the morning and you want to work out, have your keys on top of your clothes, have your clothes ready to go. Like have your food in the fridge in a bag, like take the friction out of it. That's the biggest. If you want momentum, you don't have to change everything right now, but set yourself like you have a whole day. You can wake up feeling discombobulated. You can finish ready to go so that that doesn't happen the next morning.
Mm. That's a very good tip because I recently saw somebody I know who's been on the podcast as well actually did like a carousel on Instagram and they mentioned something similar that they like to get their day ready the night before because of what you've just mentioned because it's easier than the next day. And I was literally reading that and I'm like, nah, that's not me because I'm a very disorganized person. Like I'm the type of person that unless it's last minute, it's not getting done, really. But I can totally understand now like, if you are somebody that it's hard to get back into that habit or whatnot, like it is then a lot easier to lay in bed in the morning and hit snooze and not go to the gym if you have nothing else ready,
Mm.
like I feel yeah, I feel like I can understand now a little bit more about the importance of being ready and whatnot. But yeah, no, that was a very good tip, I think. Why do you think group fitness is so big these days? Because I think too, like when we go back to even when I did CrossFit, um, this was like 10 years ago now almost. I remember like it was CrossFit or it was a normal gym.
Mm.
Like there was very far in between. I think like back then there might have been F45 here and there popping up or whatnot, but like there was nothing else really. And now, here in Adelaide, for example, like I live around the corner from the yard gym. There's
Mm.
like revels popping up. There's this and that. Like I think group fitness is humongous now. And I think people are naturally gravitating more towards that than they are towards global gyms. Whereas I thought it used to be the other way around.
Yeah.
People would gravitate more towards a global gym versus group fitness. Even like, me in the running community, running's huge these days. And
Mhm.
you have run clubs and you have like, I think people are now doing things together in groups, whether it be a run club, a group fitness class, or whatever, versus like doing things solo. Why do you think group fitness is blowing up these days?
I would lead it back to there's a few things. I think bottom line, community, and again that accountability. I think following COVID and everyone had to, just go for walks by themselves, there was a lack of community for a long time. So I think be it like as well the how they've evolved. So like Revel, I want to say Revel, maybe the yard high rocks focused. Like there's a lot of high rock stuff, but that's their niche. Like run clubs, it's again the thing of working towards a bigger goal and we're all working together to achieve that goal. So I think people, want to say that they've run a half marathon or a marathon once or a high rocks or whatever the goal may be. I think that these places provide a an opportunity to do so, but also do it with other people.
I think too, like it's easier to do hard things or things that you don't like with others,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like
Mm.
I think it's hard going to the gym. It's hard. Like you've brought some amazing points up to this point, like having that community, it's easier to be accountable and whatnot. But I think too, when it comes to, let's say, an individual sport, like, for me, being a runner, like it's a lot easier to train, let's say, a faster pace, like a harder workout with others than it is yourself, because it's a lot easier to then, if you're by yourself, to say, oh no, like I'm too tired, I'll just run a bit slower. I won't do that part or whatever. Whereas if you have others around to keep you accountable, like you've discussed, it is easier to then get through it, I think. And I think like that's the same with group fitness. Like you're all there, you're all doing similar things, if not the same thing, maybe different weights or different goals at the end of the day, but like it's easier to get through it, I think, versus like going through it alone. Because too, like I've gone to, let's say, a normal global gym and I've rocked up after 15 minutes, I've been like, oh no, I'm not feeling it today. I'm just going to go home. And yeah, I guess you could argue that's listening to your body, this and that. But like if you're at a group fitness class, like sometimes just being around others gives you that adrenaline and gets you through something, even if it is lowering the weights or whatnot. Like I think too, it builds a bit more resilience being with other people. And we used to, I think it used to be cool to go through it alone in the sense, whereas now people are okay, again, like talking with others or like just being around other people. So yeah, I think that's a very important thing as well. When it comes to, I guess, what you've learned through this journey of being a coach, going from coaching like two or three classes to now, over 20 basically. What are some key things that you think you've learned, whether it be fitness, whether it just be about yourself? What do you think that has done for you being a coach?
I think it's given me, I guess, really understand how to work with people based on where they're at in life and how they're feeling, but also drive performance, whatever it may look like for them. It's instilled me with this confidence that whatever your background is, whatever your age is, whatever your race, your gender, I will be able to support you and meet you where you are. And it's that confidence of, I like, even it's just built a confidence within me that I know what I'm saying, not only just from the results I see, but also from the lived experience of, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've lived it as well. And I think that confidence as well, being a young group fitness instructor, like teaching classes when you're 16, 17, I would sort of just say the thing and I would have an understanding, but I wouldn't really understand what I was teaching. Whereas now everything I choose to do is based off of who I'm seeing, and being able to, I guess, develop those skills has been really awesome, because without even realizing, I'm not only just helping people, but I'm also educating them on why we're doing it. I'm giving a purpose behind why. I've had a lot of clients say that to me, that they love they love the explanation around why I do what I do. Like if we're doing a lunge, we're going to do it off of a plate. Why are we doing it off of a plate? What weights are you going to select? It's the specificity behind what we're doing and what that means for each person, and why you should do something, but why you shouldn't do something. Or like if you come in and we're meant to be working with 4 rep maxes, you're not feeling good today, let's maybe not do that. There's also they're met with accountability, but also flexibility of like you're allowed to have days where you don't feel good. So I think being able, like coaching has really, like teaching 22 classes has taught me how to work with people of all ages, all different demographics. And that translates into the real world as well. Like studying to be a dietitian, these are skills that are going to immensely help me throughout my entire career. I'm very grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Cause I think too, like you were saying, those skills, you have to be adaptable. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is being flexible, being adaptable and not being too rigid. And I think that's one thing that whether it's PT, whether it's coaching, a group fitness or whatnot. Like I've done both in the past as well. And it has taught me about being flexible and being adaptable because even now, you're going to be similar like me working one on one with a patient as a physiotherapist. Like you can't be rigid. You still need to be adaptable because everybody is different. What works for one person, like you've explained, is not going to work for the next person. Um, Even if it's a similar injury or even if it's a similar experience, you still have sometimes a different outcome, really, or a different way to get to a similar outcome. So, like, the skill of being flexible, I think, is definitely something that you learn. And I do agree with that, what you mentioned there. You were saying earlier on, when we were first getting started, that you really try and reflect and I guess deal with that friction of where you want to be in the future and align yourself with where you want to be. How far would you say that you personally find you plan for? Like, are you somebody who likes to do, let's say, a year goal, a 5 year goal? Like, what does it look like? Because I think it's different for everybody, right? And I find this super interesting. For you, what is your planning like?
Yeah. So I have, for my dietetics for studying, I have a long term goal. So I'm studying this year, I'm studying next year, I'm doing placement 2028. That's set in stone. So, like, that's my, but for me personally, like, something I love that has given me a lot of grace. I think we need to have more grace with ourselves in the sense that it's okay to be a work in progress. It's okay to be evolving. Like, it's okay to not be where you want to be right now, or it's okay to be somewhere where you didn't even realize, but the actions you had been taking led to you being here. Now you're here, and you can either start moving away from or moving towards a path you want to be, or you can continue on. Um, I think that my own personal goals, it depends on what I like. This year has been a bit of a whirlwind.
Okay. Yeah.
The last oh my God, the last 2 months has been, and I've been thinking about this even before coming on here, to talk about my training, because usually there's a lot of structure. Like, I'll strength train 3-4 times a week. I was specifically focusing on weight training, and that works in the 8-week blocks. I'm planning for 8 weeks in advance. I want to hit this weight next week. I want to hit that weight. I want to get this as my 1 rep max. Running, it's like, okay, I have a half marathon. I'm going to start doing long runs each week. I want to run faster. I'm going to do a tempo run. So there's structure. The classes give me structure towards a bigger goal. So that's how I plan my training. But like last Saturday, I haven't injured myself in a while.
Okay.
But I was doing a squat clean, and I dropped under the bar faster than the bar came down. So it landed on me, and I have a full range squat, and then it pushed me further down. So I got a grade 2 tear of my rectus femoris and an angry hip joint, but it's already improved a lot, and I'll start rehab next week. But I have a ultra trail run, 75. The Jodie Lee thing. This is a full circle moment. I have been planning to run it with James, which is how I met him. 15th, 16th of May, and 16 weeks in advance. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start doing trail runs. I was already running 20, 25 kilometers a week. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do Chambers Gully, which is like 35 minutes of undulating hills and like ridiculous incline, and I cooked my shins from there because I didn't adjust my training load. And like my best friend Courtney, like she's a physiotherapist as well at Platfrm, and we were talking about, she's like, you need to treat, like, if you're running on different terrain, you need to treat it as if you've never run before. I ran it even though it was hard. So I've been navigating that, and I think being able to acknowledge, when you have niggles and just adjust, and like I was meant to do the half, and I've taken that off the plate just to take the pressure off of myself. So it's also reevaluating, like, I'm at this point in time, why do I want to do the half? I want to do it. Last year I did my first half ridiculously fast, like an hour 38 for my first one. That the bar's up here. And the only reason I'll do it now is, I guess, to continue to build upon that. And I'm like, that's just, it's not really for me.
Yeah. I think
Like, it's for everyone else.
you need to be aware that what you've brought up, that like your goals will change,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, and it's okay for goals to
Mhm.
change. Like, it goes back to the rigidity. Like, you don't need to be so rigid. And sometimes things come up, like whether it be a new goal or like
Mm.
realigning your goals to hit like a greater goal or something. Like, I
Mm.
think too, these days I see on social media in particular a lot, it's like people posting their goals, which is great,
Yeah.
but then being so rigid at
Mm.
everything that they're doing, like just being so hyper fixated on, oh, in like July, for example, is when my next race is.
Mm.
And I like the Gold Coast Marathon is probably one of the bigger ones in Australia. I know a lot of people going, and like I think sometimes it's easy to be so rigid, so hyper fixated on this one thing that you
Mm.
then, get maybe if you get a niggle or an injury, like it's the end of the world.
Mm.
Or like, you say no to other opportunities that might bring up other things. Like,
Mm.
I think again, it's finding a fine line in between like saying yes to everything and saying yes to nothing. But I think too, like you can't be so rigid sometimes when it is a goal, especially a fitness goal, because yeah, then it is kind of the end of the world if something comes up,
Mm.
and things are going to come up, especially like, if you're running like, or if you're training for like a half marathon, or like you were saying, like the ultra or whatnot, like things are probably going to come up. And like I think you have to be adaptable
Mm.
to that, really.
Yeah.
Um, what things are coming up for you? So you're saying that, there's the ultra half marathon goals and
Mm.
whatnot. What things are you excited for coming up?
Yeah. So, I have taken the half off of the plate just to remove that pressure. And I'm excited for actually. So I'm excited for the trek because it's not about me. So it's not a running event. You can register to run this year, which I think is really exciting. But I read the book. It's Kelly Finlayson's book. What is it called? There Must Be More. And I felt quite stressed out, and again hyper fixating on like, oh, this is coming up and I'm nervous. And this was 14 weeks out. Like I had so much time, but it's that anxiety around, oh, I've never done this before. And I read that book and it made me take a step back where I'm like, this is for people who have endured chemotherapy, who have like Hugo Tuve, um, who's also an ambassador of Jolie Foundation, and he launched 25 Stay Alive, um, which is pretty much it's trying to get young Australians to be proactive with their health. If you notice something is wrong, go get it checked out. And taking away, I guess, the taboo topic of, like bowel movements and what's normal versus what's not normal. But reading that story it took a weight off my shoulders of like, oh, it's not about me. Like, I'm really excited for the trek because it's for everyone else. Yeah, it's for something. That, like, the Adelaide half was fun, but it was about me. And like the Adelaide half this year would be about me. And I am excited to do things that aren't like that. And that's the main thing right now. That's it. I'm still bench pressing. I love bench press. That's for me. But I think having the mix of doing things that are also contributing to a community is very rewarding.
Yeah. That's very important too, to realize like when your goals are for something greater as
Mm.
well. Because I think too, like in this day and age as well, there's a lot of amazing things going on around the world where, people are doing these ultras or these challenges or whatnot. And yes, they seem impressive and they are impressive. And I think sometimes it comes across as like, oh, they're doing just another thing or they're showing off or whatever. But like looking behind the scenes and realizing that A, they're doing something extravagant to like get attention, because it is something greater than just, I shouldn't say than just doing 75Ks or whatever, but like it is something greater than running that or doing an event, right? Like I think a lot of the times running for or like doing something for having a goal for another purpose, like you do have to have a different mindset around that,
Mm.
really. um what is something that, out of everything that you've discussed today, to the person listening right now, what's a key takeaway that you want to leave them with?
I would want people to listen to this and to be able to have more grace with themselves and where they're at, and know that there is autonomy, like hopefully there is autonomy over their life. Like it's okay to not be where you want to be. It's okay to sit in that as well and to think about where you want to be. But like the only way that you can get through, if you're stuck or you're experiencing that friction, it's a day by day thing. Like sometimes you just have to take it day by day. We talked about planning, you know, like how do I plan for things? Sometimes it's a day by day thing. Sometimes it's this has been a really hard morning. I'm going to try and make my evening a little bit better. And I think setting yourself up for that is probably the kindest thing you can do for yourself is making maybe the evening a little bit easier by doing one or two things that, whether it be your laundry or the dirty dishes. Like try and remove friction out of your daily life. And like if you want to be in a place, just write down simple things you can do. I think if everything feels too big and too paralyzing, like zoom in and see what small things you can start doing. And then eventually, a couple months down the track, like that friction will alleviate. It will start to reduce a bit. And then like leaning on your community, connect to people, talk about it, normalize how you're feeling so that this feels like this and you can start moving. Yeah.
I love that because I think like too that's a great pointer for anybody listening as well because I think whether you are 20 in your 30s in your
Mm,
40s or whatever, like I resonate with that because me myself being 31 now, going
mm,
through changing career and whatnot, like you do have to fight that friction or you do have to just at the end of the day take it day by day like you were saying because things come up and some days are harder than others and I think like having those small little goals within is what kind of gets you through. And
mm,
again, it's a good thing for everybody to remember because like you could make change at any point of your life. It's just I think sometimes we choose not to. And you know, that's no judgment there, but
mm.
like I think you can make the
Yeah.
change really. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Um,
That'll be in the show notes.
yeah.
So you can find the link there.
Yeah.
And then Platform will also be in the link
Yes.
there. So if you wanted to check out the gym, if you're here in Adelaide, you can do that as well. Thank you for coming on the mic. Thank you for joining me today. This was great. And yeah, thanks for chatting with us
Good.
today.
Thank you for taking the time to have me. Awesome.